Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're enjoying your weekend. This is Matt, and today I'm bringing you a deck matchup, Eldlich versus Branded Despia. So, Branded Despia has been out for some time now. I haven't put out any deck matchup videos against it, so here it is. I know we're getting into a new format with the new ban list with Dimension Force, bringing out the Therians, and Therians are going to be running around. But stay tuned for changes on that. So right now I'm going to be showcasing you a best of three that I played on EDO Pro against a pretty solid Branded Despia player. So real quick thing though, as for my Eldlich deck, this is the deck that I've been playtesting with. It's not my final like, oh, this is definitely the Eldlich deck you should be running. But a few things to note is that Witch's Strike is no longer in here. The reason being that well, ever since especially that Prank Kids got banned into oblivion, I really don't see uh, much need to running Witcher Strike because I've been noticing a lot less Adventure Engine running around. So Witcher Strike doesn't really do anything to Brand Despia because they don't have any Omni Negates. The Adventure Engine was the main reason that I had Witcher Strike in the main deck. Now that I almost never see it, but then again, maybe I'll start seeing it now that Therian's a thing. So I'll probably put it back soon. We'll see, right? And then the only other big matchup that I've been seeing has been Sword Soul. And Sword Soul, honestly, like a lot of Sword Soul players, instead of opting to go into Barone as their Synchro 10, a lot of them have gone into either the the long run, the whatever, or the Changing, right? Like the long run synchro, the one that banishes and burns you, right? Or the Changing synchro, which doesn't have an Omni either. So yeah, I feel like Witcher Strike, this, as of late, hasn't been super useful, but I do predict that, Therians allows you to put up an Omnigate, and Therians do play with the Adventure package, so they put up Omnigates as well. Yeah, there in the beginning of the Branded Despia format, there was a lot of Branded Despia decks running the Adventure Engine. I don't see them anymore, so I think most Branded Despia players are running pure with like the small Frightfur engine. So yeah, so that's why you don't see Witcher Strike anymore. I also have no more needle sealing either because, well, for needle sealing, like, you need boards with a lot of monsters, and Branded Despia doesn't put up that many monsters, um, unless they have like a really cracked opening hand. But even then, like, if they have Branded opening in the graveyard, like, needle sealing won't do anything, right? So I've opted to main deck Get Out, right? So for those of you who don't know, Get Out set is a trap that says target two monsters your opponent controls that were special from the extra deck, shuffle them into the deck. You can only activate one Get Out per turn. So this card is searchable off Trap Trick, and I feel like it's been really useful against well, not just Branded Despia, but also Tenyi Sword Soul, right? Because what does Tenyi Sword Soul end on? Chi Shao plus a Synchro 10, right? What does Branded Despia end on? If they're, depending on their board, maybe a Masquerade, maybe a Guardian Chimera, right? They usually have two fusion monsters. The only issue with Get Out is that if they have the Mirrorjade that was special summoned, not from the extra deck, but from the banish pile, then you cannot actually target Get Out. And also, if they have polymerization in the graveyard, you can't actually target Guardian Chimera either, because Guardian Chimera cannot, as an effect says, cannot be targeted if there's a polymerization in the graveyard. So this isn't the best, like, or the greatest, but I do feel like this has been pretty useful at getting rid of like some pesky like monsters. And also if you play against like a rogue deck that has like DPE, Get Out is a great target. You just bounce DPE like back into the extra deck, right? And usually DP comes out with Verde Anaconda. Although now that I think about it, I actually have Verde is banned, so I actually haven't really seen DP since the ban list. But before the ban, I was using this to also out DPE, right? So yeah, this is just a main deck. I'm not convinced if it's like a necessary, like, oh, I'm definitely gonna keep it in the main deck forever. So I'm at 3 goes in match because the Sword Soul matchup and up until recently the Prank Kids matchup, right? But Prank Kids are gone, so it's mainly just Sword Soul. I'm not entirely sure how the Therians all that works yet. So I might keeping this only for Sword Soul. Not sure if I want to do. This does somewhat hit Branded Despia if we can lock them into light monsters, right? So if they hard played Branded Fusion, you want to use Gozen on Lubellion, so they're locked into lights. They cannot bring out Mirrorjade. If they brought out a Luber first and then try to go into a Lubellion. Luber's a dark, Lubellion's a light. You actually want to Gozen match before Lubellion comes out, so they're forced to use their branded fusion to bring out a dark monster, and it gets super awkward for them to it's not unplayable. Like Despia Brandon can certainly play through it, but it gets awkward. Like it kind of cuts off their main combo line. So yeah, so right now I'm still having 3 goes in match. I took out Rivalry. So in my side deck, I have double non-fusion area, double Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. So yeah, these 4 are mainly for the Branded Despia matchup. And these cards will can single-handedly win you the game. Against other matchups, well, obviously, I don't know if you see invoked Shaddoll players anymore, but if you do, these can also be useful. Also, Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. Pretty good in the Tri-Brigade matchup because Ominous Omen is a dark monster. So if you have Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, Ominous Omen's effect does nothing, right? Neither on field nor in the graveyard, both of which are pretty good. And without Ominous Omen doing stuff, what is Tri-Brigade going to do? Although, to be fair, Tri-Brigade also hard lose to goes in match. Anyway, I felt like Shadow Imprisoning is good against... I've played Rogue decks in other matchups where Shadow Imprisoning is pretty useful. Non-fusion area, I've pretty much only used against Branded Despia. Oh, that's not true. I did play a Heroes player that did where non-fusion area was amazing against. Same with Shadow Imprisoning. Shadow Imprisoning also used to be great against rogue decks that just had turbo DPE, right? Because this shuts off DPE completely. So anyway, and they can't even Celestial. Anyways, yeah. So this isn't an official deck profile. Oh, one more thing. Lord of Heavenly Prison, 3 in the main deck and 3 D-Barrier in the main deck. The third copies, recall, used to be in the side deck. And I took out Zeus because it wasn't really coming out. And instead, I put in Dark the Dark Charmer. Now that I see Lord of the Heavenly Prison way more often, I feel like maybe I should run Dark here. I feel like Dark is going to be way more utility than a Zeus. Because I think I could think of one time since I started playing Eldlich where I actually brought out Zeus. Whereas I can see several situations where Dark could have come in handy. Anyway, yeah, this is not a deck profile video. I don't want to go too much into that. So let's just get into the replays here. So game 1, I do lose the coin flip. So let's see what they do. So they are playing the Allure of Darkness version of Branded Despia. So there's the Luber. Yep, they are playing Branded Blade Branded Blade as well, which is a decent card. So they're gonna go into Masquerade here. All right, so this dude's hand is actually really cracked. So he had a Albaz and Poly in hand, so now he's gonna be able to go into Mirrorjade, right? Mirrorjade's gonna banish itself with Albion. Poly is gonna make, oh wow, so ad libitum of Despia fused with Fairy Tale Snow. Look at that. Yeah, so I sort of bricked because 2 skill drain is not that great. They're obviously mutually exclusive, but obviously, if I suspect Guardian Chimera is going to pop some cards of mine, having a second skill drain is useful. But yeah, 2 Masquerades. Look at this guy. And he's going to use Ad Libitum to get Mirrorjade. So his opening board is Mirrorjade, double Masquerade, and he's going to get Branded in red. So this dude's hand was absolutely cracked in game 1 here. And unfortunate for me, my hand is half bricked, right? Ice Dragon's Prison is hard once per turn, and Skill Drain is so I essentially opened 4 unique traps with 6 cards, right? But given that he's gonna prop some of my cards abandoned in red, I guess it's okay. So I'm gonna set everything except a copy of. Yeah, so I do set the second Skill Drain because just in case the first one gets popped, right? So he's gonna go Brandon in red and get Ad Libitum. He gets the Mirrorjade and pops he pops an Ice Dragons and a Skill Drain, which is great for me because I have double copies, right? But I don't think it's gonna matter here, and you'll see why. Yeah, this is not a great game for me. He hard draws Springen's Kit, and I attempt a Skill Drain, which cost me 1,200 life points. So he does not get a search, but he does chain Mirrorjade to get the Albion into the graveyard. Oh, so he banishes Kit so that she'll be off the field and her effect will go through. So she does, I guess, what does she get? Branded Sword? Branded Mercure? I didn't see what she get. Whatever. So at this point, yeah, it's kind of tough because best case I can do here is like I have double get out, right? Right. I can trap trick and get out, and send these monsters back into the extra deck. But then he has Fairy Tale Snow, so yeah, this is enough to kill me. So not great. His opening hand was cracked. My opening hand was super mediocre, just because I had like double copies of trap cards. All right, so that was game one. Let me show you the side deck for game two. So for game two, I'm definitely putting for the Grand Despia. I always put in non-fusion area, Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, because it's game two and I'm opting to go first. I do put in 3 Solemn Judgment, and then I take out 1 Torrential, 2 Ice Dragons, because Ice Dragon's not that great, and Torrential like a lot weaker if they have branded opening. I also take out the 3 Gozen Match because it doesn't do as much, and I take out. What else did I take out? I believe I took out 1 of the Pots of Duality. Yeah, so this is my game 2 deck here. I'm just gonna save that for now. Let's go to game 2 here. So game 2 is pretty solid for me. I set everything except this skill drain. Okay, so he does get branded loss. So I'm gonna skill drain his Aluber. He's gonna play branded fusion, which he's gonna get Titaniclad. So I guess he goes in Titaniclad because I guess he just wants like a big beater. And maybe like there's no point to go in Lubellion under skill drain here. And Titaniclad has a pretty decent graveyard effect, so if I do out Titaniclad, he does have follow-up. So he uses Albion to send branded opening to the graveyard, which makes sense. Yeah, just keep his Albion alive more. Special summon Sprinkling's Hit. Let's get more bodies on the field. So I'm gonna summon my Eldlich here. And phase. I'm going to use Conch because I want to get his branded opening out of the graveyard. So I'm going to go into Lina. Yeah, so what I did was I set that second skill drain, use it to bring back Eldlich at 35, and then I can beat over this Titanic right here. And then phase 2, I can grab a Conch and set D-Barrier. So D-Barrier will prevent him from fusion summoning, period, for like a whole turn. So Conch will grab another. So I'm in a very good spot right now. Very winning position. So I'm gonna Elixir here again. Extrav is great. Really good top deck. Lord of Heavenly Prison. I'm gonna grab a Huaq. So I summon the Huaq because it's an 1800 body, and I'm gonna banish his Albaz just to give him fewer like I don't know fusion options or whatever options. Oh, another reason is I want to use Lord of the Heavenly Prison here. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So I set Solemn Judgment because I plan on OTKing here, and I don't want him to like do anything with his set card, but I make a mistake here. Because he uses branded red. I should have chained D-Barrier calling fusions, but I'm stupid. And I chained Solemn Judgment, forgetting that branded lost actually makes it so that fusion abilities effects cannot be negated. So this was a big fuck up on my part. So yeah, it ends up not mattering because I could just pop his monster with Conch, but yeah, that was a fuck up. I should have flipped D-Barrier and searched Pot of Extravagance instead of Solemn Judgment. But yeah, usually like I like to get Solemn Judgment or Solemn Strike if I know I'm going for an OTK off of Lord Heavenly Prison, because that way like whatever they use I can stop it, right? But I was being silly in this game. So game 3, because I assume I'm going second, I take out my 3 Solemn Judgments, and I put in 3 Lava Golems. So, Lava Golem is alright against Random Despia because it takes out 2 of their monsters. Usually they have 2 bodies on the field. Winged Dragon Raw Sphere mode doesn't come up as often. So, yeah, so Judgments for Lava Golems. So let's go into game 3 here. So game 3. So I want to say both of us open pretty really like low key really good hands. Like both of these hands are super cracked, right? I have Extrav, I have Lava Golem, I have Lord, right? I have a Floodgate non-fusion area. He already has branded fusion in hand. He has a Twin Twisters, a few like monsters, and then branded openings. So both of us opened amazingly well. So you can't argue one of us bricked. Neither of us bricked here. Like arguably I bricked in game one. I don't know if you can, but not exactly. Maybe you can say, oh, maybe he bricked in game two. But in this game, nobody bricked. I don't think either of us bricked that hard in game one or two either. But like in this game, we both got really good hands, right? So Brandon opening to Aluber, pitching Edge Imp. Edge Imp is going to grab the Fright Fur. Aluber is going to grab Branded Lost. Fright Fur grabs Poly and Edge Imp. Branded Lost. Branded Fusion into Lubellion. Lubellion discarding Edge Imp. So he sent Despia Tragedy as fusion material. And then he's also going to chain block Branded Lost. So Lost gets Spriggan's Kit. Tragedy gets Ad Libitum. And Lubellion will make Masquerade. Alright, cool. Spriggan's Kit summons. We'll search out Branded in Red. Okay. Branded in Red returns Albaz. Albaz and Lubellion make Mirrorjade. Mirrorjade will banish itself with Albion. Polymerization, Ad Libitum with Spriggan's Kit to make a second Masquerade. Okay. And then Mirrorjade comes back because of Ad Libitum. And then he sets Twin Twisters. And then he's going to set Branded in Red. So this is an insanely good opening board, right? We say, oh, but he doesn't have anything in his hand for Twin Twisters. So the thing is about Branded Despia is that they're very good at refilling their hand. So they might not have something now to discard for Twin Twisters, but they soon will have, because if they make Guardian Chimera, they're guaranteed to draw at least one card. And that one card is, there you go, Twin Twisters. Also, if they make Guardian Chimera, Branded Lost will search them a card. So they have at least two cards that they're going to be drawing on my turn, by the way. So yeah, they can absolutely have a live Twin Twisters, right? Anyway, my turn. So I'm going to go ahead and play Extrav, which costs me 1200 because of the Masquerade. Dude, the double Masquerade is insanely powerful, right? So I'm going to draw two cards. Alright, so Solemn Strike and Get Out. So this is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and Lava Golem those Masquerades, because I don't want to deal with double Masquerades, because that shit's cancer, right? Like look at his graveyard. He has a branded opening, which means like basically my one out to Masquerade is like Get Out, right? But I'm just like, you know what? I want to use Lord of Heavenly Prison this turn. I don't want to pay another 1200 life points. I want to avoid paying life points. So here's a Lava Golem. You can pay life points on your standby phase, right? So Lord of Heavenly Prison is going to protect my back row, and then he's going to go ahead and banish himself. So he makes Despia and Queritus. So normally most Brand Despia players will make Guardian Chimera, but Guardian Chimera isn't going to, do anything to my board, because Lord of Heavenly Prison protects my cards from being popped, right? So he does get his Mirrorjade back. He does get Branded Lost to search Albion. So Lava Golem's gonna burn him. So he's gonna send Branded's Blade on cost for Albion. He's gonna chain Branded Opening so that he doesn't top deck the Luber or whatever. So he's going to use a Luber on field with Tragedy in the graveyard. And this is going to net him two cards. So I chain Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, right? Because Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, if you don't know, negates all Dark Monster effects activated on the field or in the graveyard. So this will negate both Chainlink 1 and Chainlink 2. However, he does chain the Twin Twisters. Probably because he doesn't want to deal with... He wants these effects to go through, but also he doesn't want to deal with Shadow Imprisoning Mirror because most of his monsters are dark. So, luckily, Lord of Heavenly Prison only protects face-down cards, so I lose my one Floodgate, but, he does keep the other card alive. So he gets his Luber, he gets Branded Fusion, Edge Imp Chain is going to get him Fright Fur. By the way, just look how crazy And then Branded Blade is gonna get him Albaz. Hold on. Before that, so just look at his hand real quick. He's got 5 cards in his hand. He literally had last turn had 0 cards in hand, right? When he ended his turn, and now he has 5. Like that's how insane Branded Despia is, right? They need to just refill their hand like instantaneously, just like that. And he has 19 cards left in his deck, right? Anyway, he's gonna play Branded Fusion. So I could flip non-fusion area, but I want this to go through. And why is that? The reason is that I have Get Out. Get Out can bounce 2 extra deck monsters back into the extra deck, right? So I want to bounce Despia Queritus, and I want to bounce 1 more fusion monster. I cannot bounce his Mirrorjade because this Mirrorjade is technically was not summoned for the extra, it was summoned from the banished pile, right? So I want him to go ahead and get out another fusion monster, right? Obviously he has to send fusion materials to the graveyard for that. So he brings out Titaniclad, which is going to be at 3,700 attack, and Branded Loss is going to search him Albion. So I'm going to go ahead and use Get Out and target Titaniclad and Despia Queritus here. So these are going to bounce him back to the extra deck. So Mirrorjade chains, and he's going to try to, my guess, banish one of these 2 so that I do not get a bounce. But I have Solemn Strike, which does negate this. However, he does have Branded Opening. So I do take out his fusion monsters. He then goes for the Branded Fusion. I finally flip non-fusion area, so that fizzles. And then I chain Lord of the Heavenly Prison onto the field, get a Pot of Extravagance for next turn. He normal summons a Luber. I don't know if he forgot that he already used the Luber's effect, or maybe he just wants more bodies on the field. Like, if he can't fusion summon anyway, like, maybe he doesn't care at this point. So he's gonna cycle some cards. So I made a small mistake here, right, by summoning Eldlich. Why is this a mistake? Well, I didn't read Mirrorjade, so Mirrorjade's ability says... Alright, so this is a little confusing. I summoned Eldlich here, right, because I want on the end phase. But here's why it's confusing. So I'm going to use Extravagance, and he's going to use Mirrorjade's effect to banish my Eldlich, right? Which is weird because he used Mirrorjade last turn, right? So if you read Mirrorjade, it says, quick effect, send a fusion monster, and then banish a monster on the field. Oh, also this card cannot use this effect next turn. Okay, so I just misread it. So the banish must happen for the also to then occur. So because I Solemn Struck him, so it never got to the also part. So I thought that because he tried to use the banish last turn, I stopped it with Solemn Strike, he wouldn't be able to use it this turn, right? Because this says like this effect can only be used once every 2 turns, right? But I didn't actually read that that's actually part of the effect. Banish monster also it cannot be used next turn. So because Solemn Strike stopped the first part, stopped the banish, the also part did not apply. So he was able to use it this turn. I actually didn't know that, and I'm curious if he knew that as well. So slight misplay on my part. What I should have done was I should have attempted to crash into Mirrorjade, force the Mirrorjade to banish my Lord. But it's okay, and you'll see why. Like, it ends up being okay. So I do get the crash. I set a bunch of cards. Titaniclad is going to get another body on the field. So at this point, I think he's like giving up on fusion summoning. He's just going to, I guess, get a bunch of monsters on the field. So he tribute summon Albion, which is funny. I'm going to torrential tribute here. Because he used a normal summon. End phase. Trap Trick into Elixir. So I did get an Eldlich banished, but like I said in all my deck profile videos, as long as you have one Eldlich one Eldlich in play, you're still good, right? It doesn't matter. So I'm gonna go ahead and swing. I'm gonna use Huaq. I'm gonna banish Branded Opening, swing again, set another Huaq, and then set D Barrier. So why did I set D Barrier if I already have non-fusion area? Well, because you never know. If he somehow manages to out my Floodgate, I have a way to stop his fusions. And funny enough, he does top deck Cosmic Cyclone, and he immediately uses it on my non-fusion area. So he's going to use Branded in red here. I don't think he can use the Theater, because none of his monsters here are Despia monsters, I think. Or maybe he just doesn't have the right material. So he uses Branded in red and targets the Albaz. So I'm going to chain Huaq. So for those who don't know, if you use Huaq to banish the target of Branded in red, Branded in red fizzles. So Branded in red just doesn't do anything. So he uses Albion to mill Branded opening, and then he just sets Edgem Chain. I go ahead and get Conquistador. I'm gonna pop the theater because I don't want him fusion summoning. Even though I do have D barrier, right? I just want one fewer avenue for him to fusion summon. So I'm gonna make a Lina here. He attempts to masquerade. I'm gonna D barrier to just call fusions because I'm just gonna go for game. So you attack with Lina first because she has 1850 attack. Let's say he set Ash Blossom or Ghost Spell. Both Ash Blossom, Ghost Spell have 1800 attack, right? Or sorry, 1800 defense. So always use a monster higher than 1800 if they randomly set a monster like that, just in case they set like Ash or Ghost Spell or whatever. So yeah, so Lina attacks, and then Eldlich is gonna go ahead and, or I guess Huaq is gonna finish him off. All right. So yeah, that was the matchup. Yeah, Branded Despia is an insane deck. Like, just the fact that Branded opening stops me from blowing up their board via Torrential Tribute is like is already like pretty crazy, right? Yeah, non-fusion area is amazing. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror is amazing. Definitely side deck those and put those in against this matchup because it makes the win a lot easier, right? Hope y'all enjoyed. Hope you learned something, and see you on the next video. Peace.